Hello and welcome back to the second part of last week's video on using watercolors in your journal. Today's video we're going to make backgrounds using watercolor paint. Last week we made individual circles using watercolor paint, water-soluble crayons and water-soluble pencils. And this week we are going to focus more on making backgrounds for your journal, and the aim is the same as last week's video, which is well-being. So before we begin, I wanted to show you some examples to inspire you. A few years ago I was very much into watercolor and doodles, so this is an example of testing out different colors and practicing on my doodles in this book. Here are larger rectangular shapes and square shapes and to draw my doodles on, and on this page I had stuck some images of garden magazines for inspiration and ideas. If it can inspire you too, you can do the same. Another way to play with your watercolors and test the various pigments is to make little marks like these. You can do as many as you like and whatever color you like, then doodle and any shapes you like inside those marks, and you can make them larger like these too, exploring the various doodles you can find and that you like the most. You can also blend your colors and shade your doodles. Your watercolor world is your oyster, and you can find tons of these ideas online. Just Google the word doodles. So today we're going to focus on this idea, making loads of circles and covering a whole page. You may want to draw small ones or larger ones like I've done here. I have chosen to make larger circles for this video, choosing a color you love and just painting a large, a medium or a small circle. Then changing colors. And here I'm using a warm yellow. And I'm going to touch the previous circle to make the colors bleed together like magic. This is the beauty of watercolor, when colors merge. A quick tip if you are new to painting is to find the color wheel online, so you pick colors which work together to avoid creating a muddy page. For example, primary colors like blue and yellow make a green, which becomes a secondary color. Primary colors like red and blue make a secondary color, purple. It's about not taking things too seriously here, just enjoying the painting and the colors. It's about learning to listen to your instincts, trusting yourself that you will pick the colors which will work together. And by all means, if you felt the colors didn't work and you messed up your page, you can start a new page and come back to this page another time to perhaps cover it with some acrylic paint for another project. We can be so hard on ourselves at times, so the new creative journal is about learning to trust ourselves again and be kind to ourselves by mucking things up in our journals teaches us to manage our inner critic and perfectionist. No one will judge you after all. It is your personal journal and you are free to make mistakes. Isn't there a quote saying that mistakes are happy accidents when we create? So here is an example of a happy accident where I touched the paint with a wipe already wet and then created an interesting effect. So I decided to carry on dabbing my page with the wet wipe, which was also therapeutic and which ended up giving my background a bit of a tattered and frayed look. A great reminder that in life sometimes what we don't necessarily like to begin with can turn out to be beautiful if we make it so. On top of this, you get a tie-dye wipe, which once dry you can use in other projects, perhaps in a collage, for example. In this activity, we're going to paint simple lines across the page to make a background, changing colors, watching the colors bleed, which can be satisfying, adding a magical touch to your painting. You may want to listen to some music or favorite podcasts while doing this and taking your time, perhaps even incorporating breathing exercises which work for you. And this is a mindful exercise helping us let go of some stress and tension, watching the colors appear on your page and the brush gliding over the page, giving our brain the impression things are smooth while soothing our nervous system. You may want to protect the back page with placing a bit of paper behind your work as well. Forgot to say. There is something about painting aimlessly. It gives us a sense of freedom, which we don't often feel in our daily lives. And you can play with paint, making little dots which have a mind of their own. As watercolour is so unpredictable, and this is interesting, as these whimsical-like shapes forming on the page can surprise you. Once the background is complete, you are now free to fill them in with anything you feel led to, whether it is some journaling, writing quotes, poems, affirmations, whether it is doodling, drawing, adding stickers, or of magazine images, anything you like really. In last week's video, I showed you PET tapes or PET tapes, which are transparent and adhesive, and they make pretty little decors that you can add to your page. And you can also doodle or draw the shapes and symbols you like, and this is great practice to improve your creativity. Here I am using my non-dominant hand to draw a flower. You don't have to. It kind of looks like a sort of abstract arty flower, which is quite interesting. And then you can journal a little using the spontaneous writing technique or even illegible writing techniques, which are videos that I've put the link below. Both new creative journal techniques, which are good for conveying a feeling of freedom. And we can do some stamping as well. Stamping can be therapeutic, expressing pent-up energy while stamping away. You're free to do whatever you want, really. As I've been saying many times in my videos, it's your journal. And only you can see what you're doing, and you're the only judge. And why not stamping more? You can tell it is one of my favorite things to do, so I'm using a homemade stamp here, which I will show you how to make those in a future video. So here we have a few ideas which I hope will inspire your journal practice. And finally, you can add cut-out images from previous projects, or stickers, or anything you like to decorate your page. So I hope this video will have ignited something in you, whether it is adding colours to your journaling or simply exploring other creative mediums. But all in all, as often like to remind you, you matter and your heart matters too. Until next time, take care of yourself and goodbye.